Hello and welcome to Fat Boss TV. Let's take a bite out of Gul'dan in the Nighthold on Heroic difficulty and below. Phase 1. Tank. Stack up all 3 mini-bosses and make sure you use your Resonant Barrier on the Shatter Essence cast from the Fel Lord. Everyone wants to move away from the Liquid Hellfire explosion and stack up within the healing Scattering Field shields to reduce the incoming damage. You also need to sidestep the Feliflux beam, and on Heroic you'll need to move from the rumbly patches that spawn big Fel obelisks and the green patches that explode. All DPS want to use cooldowns on Inquisitor Vethriz to nuke him down before he spawns any eyes. DPS should use time dilation to help improve output for a short time, just make sure you don't take any fire damage during the buff, otherwise it is removed. Tanks want to move away and place the cage outside the raid, whilst on Heroic the healers need to dispel the drain debuffs from players. Phase 2 starts when all mini-bosses are dead. Be close to Gul'dan at the beginning of the phase so you don't get knocked off the edge and die. Range players should stack up behind the boss for the Bonds of Fel. Players who receive the debuff need to run away from their initial location to break the bond, whilst everyone stacks on them to make sure that they don't die from the explosion that occurs when the bond is broken. You also need to move away from the Liquid Hellfire and into the healer's Scattering Field shields to help reduce the incoming damage. Range players need to be spread for when the Eyes of Gul'dan come in to avoid splashing damage onto one another. DPS should use time dilation and nuke the eyes down before they duplicate into more eyes. Tanks need to use active mitigation and stack on top of one another every 12 seconds or so to trigger the boss's Fel Scythe. This will keep its damage low whilst ensuring that its attack speed buff doesn't stack. On Heroic, players will need to switch to the Dreadlord that spawns and interrupt it, whilst killing it quickly before its damage increase buff stacks too much. At 85%, the bonds will now knock back players before rooting them. Make sure you stack up near the boss so that when you are knocked back, you don't fall off. Range players need to run out and soak the 2 non-tank players, whilst the tank who is knocked back needs the other tank to taunt, whilst they break their own bonds by using big cooldowns. At 70%, the Liquid Hellfire will become empowered. You want to move from the fire it leaves on the ground and start using healing cooldowns to cover its increased damage. At 55%, the Eye of Gul'dan will become empowered. You want range players to be pre-spread and have all DPS nuke down the single empowered eye before it splits. At 40%, Gul'dan will enter phase 3. You want to run against the winds at the beginning of the phase and then have tanks drag Gul'dan to the side of the room whilst dealing with the Fel Scythe every 12 seconds or so. The range players need to be spread evenly on both sides of the room, or a single side in smaller raid sizes, so you can be pre-spread for the empowered eye which you need to kill quickly. When you have the Flame of Sargeras on you, you need to place the fires away from the raid, whilst trying to keep the fires that you leave as stacked up as possible. Healers need to top up the Siphon Soul debuff, whilst players remove the souls in the well by standing in it. The well must be empty before Black Harvest is cast, and when it is cast, make sure you use a healing cooldown. You need to run to the other side of the room when the Storm of the Destroyer explosions go off, and then you rinse and repeat. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If this guide did help you out, then make sure you leave a like, and do go check out our written guides over on Wowhead. The link to that can be found in the description below. Also, a big shout out to all of our supporters over on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.